Have you ever thought about what would happen if the very system you fought for turned against you? A man who dedicated his life to his country is now the target. But this is just the beginning. Because he has made a decision. He won't run, he will fight. But the real story is yet to unfold. You won't want to miss this. Dear listener, before we move forward, please subscribe my channel to hit 1,000 figure. The world had moved on, but Clint Eastwood hadn't. There was a time when he believed in the system, when he wore a uniform, saluted the flag, and thought he was fighting for something bigger than himself. But that was a long time ago. Now, the government was rotten. The men he once called brothers in arms were either dead, betrayed, or forgotten. The nation he had bled for, sold out to corruption, greed, and backroom deals. And Clint? They wanted him gone too. It started with a mission, one that wasn't supposed to exist. A classified op deep in South America, targeting a cartel that had grown too powerful. Clint and his elite unit were sent in under the radar, but something went wrong. The mission was compromised. His team was wiped out, and the government, they disavowed him, branded a rogue operative, a fugitive, a traitor. Now, he was being hunted by the very people who once gave him orders. The agency, the military, the mercenaries, they were all after him. He was alone. But they had made one fatal mistake. They didn't kill him when they had the chance. Clint Eastwood wasn't going to run. He was going to fight. One man against the world. The world thought Clint Eastwood was dead. His name had been erased from every government file. His records were sealed. Officially, he never existed. The men in power had done everything to bury him, to erase every trace of the mission gone wrong. But there was one problem. He was still breathing, and that scared them. Somewhere deep in the rainforests of South America, Clint moved like a ghost. His body bore the scars of the ambush, bullet wounds, shrapnel burns, bruises from a fight he wasn't supposed to survive. But pain meant nothing now. He had learned to embrace it, to use it as fuel. For the past 6 months, he had been hunted, not by ordinary men. The government had sent its best. Elite mercenaries, special ops teams, cold-blooded assassins. They came in waves, each one believing they would be the ones to finally put him down. And each time, Clint proved them wrong. His mind was sharper than ever. He had spent a lifetime fighting wars, leading men into battle, surviving when others fell. But this was different. This time, he wasn't fighting for a country. He wasn't following orders. This time, he was fighting for himself. On a humid night deep in the jungle, Clint sat perched on the edge of a rocky ridge, looking down at the valley below. Through the darkness, he saw movement, 5 black-clad figures moving with precision. Another kill team. They thought they were tracking him, but they had no idea he had been tracking them for the past 12 hours. Their leader, a ruthless ex-Delta operator named Jonas Riker, barked orders through his earpiece. "Alpha team, spread out. He's close." Clint smirked. Damn right he was. He watched as they took positions, moving through the jungle with the arrogance of men who had never lost. They were fast, disciplined, but they weren't ready for him. Because unlike them, Clint didn't have backup. He didn't have an extraction plan. He had nothing to lose. And that made him the most dangerous man alive. The first mercenary never saw it coming. Clint dropped from the trees, a silent predator in the night. A knife flashed, a gurgled scream, and then silence. One down. The second man turned just in time to see a fist slam into his throat. He dropped his rifle, gasping for air. Clint didn't give him a second chance. A quick snap of the neck, and he was gone too. Riker's voice crackled through the radio. "Status report! Where the hell are you guys?" No answer. Clint picked up the fallen man's radio, pressing the button. His voice, low and unshaken, sent a chill through the night. "They're dead, Riker, and you're next." Riker's team was the best money could buy, but Clint was the kind of man money couldn't buy. He wasn't fighting for a paycheck. He wasn't fighting for orders. He was fighting because they took everything from him. Now, he was going to take it all back. The world had turned against him, but they had made a mistake. They left him alive, and now it was his turn to hunt. The war has just begun. The jungle was silent. The only sound was the distant rustling of leaves and the slow rhythmic breathing of Clint Eastwood, the last soldier standing. Jonas Riker, the ex-Delta operator leading the kill team, had gone completely still. His grip on his rifle tightened, his heartbeat quickened. This wasn't how the mission was supposed to go. They were supposed to be the hunters. Now, they were the prey. Clint had already taken out 2 of his men. The remaining 3 mercenaries crouched behind trees and rocks, scanning the darkness, their fingers trembling on the triggers. They were scared, and Clint knew it. He moved silently, a ghost in the jungle, his every step calculated. His experience had taught him how to control the battlefield, how to make his enemy afraid of the dark, how to turn their own nerves against them. This wasn't just a fight. This was psychological warfare. The 3rd mercenary, a young hotshot with more muscles than brains, made the mistake of panicking. He swung his rifle wildly, firing into the trees. The flash from his muzzle gave away his position. Clint was already behind him. Before the man could turn, a thick vine wrapped around his throat. Clint yanked it hard, lifting the soldier off the ground. His legs kicked wildly, his hands clawed at his neck, but there was no escape. A few seconds later, he went limp. Clint lowered the body silently, then took out the soldier's combat knife. In the dim moonlight, he carved a message into the man's bulletproof vest before leaving him slumped against a tree. Riker's radio crackled to life. "Boss, we found Jackson, and—" Riker's voice was tight. A long pause. Then, "You're next." Cold dread settled in Riker's chest. Clint had left the message there for him to find. This wasn't just a fight anymore. It was a warning. The 4th mercenary made a run for it. He couldn't take it anymore. The waiting, the silence, the knowledge that a man like Clint Eastwood was out there, hunting them. He sprinted toward the extraction point, desperate to get out of this nightmare. But just as he reached the clearing, a single gunshot echoed through the jungle. His body crumpled to the ground. A perfect kill shot, right between the eyes. Riker cursed under his breath. Now, it was just him and one last soldier. 2 men left, against Clint Eastwood. And they both knew how this was going to end. Riker wasn't afraid of many things. He had fought in wars, taken down terrorists, assassinated targets across the globe. But right now, he was afraid. He turned to his last remaining man, a sniper named Vance. "We have to move, now!" But Vance didn't respond. Riker turned fully and saw the knife buried in Vance's chest. His body was propped against a tree, lifeless, blood dripping onto the leaves below. Clint had already gotten to him. A twig snapped behind Riker. He spun around, raising his rifle. Too late. A fist crashed into his face, sending him stumbling back. His vision blurred. He tried to aim, but Clint knocked the gun from his hands and drove a knee into his gut. Riker fell to his knees, gasping for breath. His nose was broken. His pride was shattered. and standing over him, calm and merciless, was Clint Eastwood. Clint knelt in front of Riker, grabbing him by the collar. Their eyes met, one man defeated, the other victorious. "Who sent you?" Clint asked, his voice quiet but deadly. Riker coughed, spitting blood. "You already know." Clint tightened his grip. "Say it." A smirk crossed Riker's bloodied face. "The same people who sent you on that mission. The same people who left you for dead. Your government, soldier. They don't want you back." Clint's jaw clenched. He had suspected it all along. The betrayal went all the way to the top. Riker gave a weak chuckle. "You can kill me, Eastwood, but it won't change anything. They'll keep coming. You can't fight the whole system." Clint pulled his revolver from his belt, pressing it to Riker's forehead. "Watch me." One shot. One dead man. And one soldier, alone against the world. But now, Clint knew the truth. He knew who had betrayed him. And he knew exactly where he was going next. Back to the U.S., to finish this war, to make them pay, to bring down the system that created him. And this time, no one was safe. Clint Eastwood stood over Riker's lifeless body, his revolver still warm from the final shot. The jungle was silent again, but this time it wasn't because he was hiding. It was because he had won. He wiped the sweat and blood from his face and took a deep breath. He wasn't just a survivor. He was a man on a mission. The truth was clear now. The government had turned on him. The same people who had once given him orders were now writing his death sentence. They had sent killers, mercenaries, and agents to erase him. But they failed. And now it was his turn. Clint strapped on his gear, took one last look at the battlefield he had turned into a graveyard, and started walking. Not away, not into hiding. He was heading home. Because if the system wanted him gone, he would bring the fight to their doorstep. They had created the perfect soldier. Now they were going to regret it.